Hey everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at Canopy Growth, Cronus Group, and Tilray. Okay, three of the top marijuana companies that are trading on the big boards. And so here we have the CGC monthly chart. You can see here it's breaking out. It's on a blue sky breakout right now. It's making new all-time highs, and so now this $40.26 level it is the all-time high. That's the key level to break. When you're making new all-time highs, you have to keep making, new highs in order to signal the chart is strong and healthy. And so right now, what you want to see is it stay above this June high close here around 36.50. If it dropped below that, it could come down here and test EMA4 at 31.41. As long as that level is holding, the chart is super strong. Notice the big volume. It has increasing volume as the share price is rising. Okay, so take a look here at the daily chart. So on the daily chart, we have RSI here at 72.50. If you look here in the past, that's where it's topped out at. It's struggled to get above that level. It did have a push back here in May above 70 for a few days, but typically it pulls back. Now, if you look at Fasto, it's here at 89 now. The black line has crossed below the red line. That's signaling potential downside risk. Notice the other crossovers here that also lined up with pullbacks on the chart. Okay, so each of these pullbacks, the signal, the Fasto signaled that with the black line crossing over the red line to the downside. Now, if it stays above 80, the chart will still be healthy. If it dropped below 80, that's where you could really see some consolidation. If you look at plus DI here on 80X, you could see here it's hitting a level where it topped out at back in the past. So it's at a very high level right now. It's going to need to, keep pushing higher. Now the candlestick is a red flag today as well. You can see here it's a doji type of candlestick. It's a very small real candle body. The close is near the open, or the open right now is near the closing price and the current price, and so it's signaling that this could take a breather. If a doji did form end of day, bearish doji star reversal pattern would form. The pattern can change between now and the closing bell. This could close above 40. You never know what's going to happen. There's still plenty of time left in the trading day. Right now, this is just a clue that it's getting ahead of itself. Notice the doji is forming above the upper Bollinger Band down here at 36.36 after a gap up open. That signal is getting frothy and ahead of itself during a multi-day run. On a pullback, you want to see this closing price back here in June, the June 20th close, here right at $36. You want to see that level hold. If it dropped below 36, it could come down here and fill the gap. There's a gap between high of day on this candle and low of day on this candle between Friday and Monday, and so a drop down to 34 would fill the gap. Now, if you look here at the 15-minute chart for CGC, you can see here it's at a flex point. You can see the candles, there's descending resistance and ascending support, and the support line's lined up with the middle Bollinger Band. If it could stay above 38.47, it can keep the uptrend going, and then it's going to need to make a new high close. It's going to need to break above this 40 resistance zone. Now, if it drops below that middle Bollinger Band, the downside risk is it comes down to the 50 simple moving average at 36.81. Okay, notice it did have the big volume spike at the beginning of the day, which to me looks like a climax spike. When you have a multi-day rally and then a giant volume spike at high of day, and then the share price fails to get back up to that level, many times it's a signal that they were dumping some shares at the top of the run. Okay, let's look at Tilray here. So TLRY up 10% today. This has been an epic run. This IPO has been rocking it out. RSI is at 79 now. You have Fasto at 88. Now notice the crossover, the black line crossing over the red line once again. That happened right here where the red candle formed, and so that's happening again right now. This would only be the second time that it had a bearish crossover on Fasto, and so today there's another doji type candlestick forming. Okay, so notice the small real candle body. Now that can change. The high of day is up here at 42, the lows down here. The candlestick can definitely change between now and the closing bell. It's just a red flag when you have an uptrend going and then there's a gap up open above the upper Bollinger Band. It creates the setup where a bearish reversal pattern could form end of day. And if you're a trader, it's a good signal to lock in some gains. I mean, check it out. It's on a 5-day run. You want number 6. Is it just going to keep? If it gets number 6, then that would definitely be a lock them in. I know that there's been some firms have set a 45 price target. It's just pushing really hard. It would be healthier for the chart if it came down and just tested that EMA4 there at 34.84, stayed stayed above the previous all-time high, or the way this candle broke out above it, you know, stay above 34 and keep the uptrend going. Okay, so it can't keep pushing. You never know how high it's going to go. It's just signaling it's getting a little frothy. I would watch the 15-minute chart here. You know, once again, the stock is at a flex point. You know, this big volume bar at the beginning of the day, followed by a red candle, and then failing to get back above that level is a red flag. Now, if it breaks out above 41, that's going to signal they want to take it higher. If it fails to get back above 41 and close above that level on the 15-minute chart, that's going to signal downside risk. And if it drops below this dotted purple line, that's the middle Bollinger Band at 38.95, that's also going to signal downside risk. The downside risk here is that it drops down to this 50 simple moving average currently at 35.63. Keep in mind the moving averages are always changing. Right now they're heading higher. Okay, if you look at Cronus Group here, another beautiful day. So congrats everybody. This has been an awesome run. Yeah, it's hitting 70 right now, at 73 on RSI. You know, the last time it hit this level, that was the temporary top. It did get above 70 back here on this rally that it had back in December and January. But yeah, typically it struggles at these levels on RSI. You have Fasto up here at 80. Okay, and then once again, notice the crossovers on Fasto here, the black line crossing over the red line, you know, and how that lines up with peaks, right? And so you got the peaks here. And so, you know, right now we have a similar thing going on. You have the peak here. And not saying that necessarily this is going to break down, because they could take it higher. And also, Fasto can change. You have to keep in mind when you're looking at a daily chart, it's going to change. It has to set end of day for the signal. But right now, it's signaling that it could pull back. The other clue that it could take a breather is the candlestick. Once again, we have a doji type candlestick. This has a larger real candle body, but it has the same type of signal here with the indecision. You know, you have the bulls drove it up, the bears drove it down, but it's pretty much where it started the day. What I would like to see here, and I think would keep the chart bullish, is if it stayed above $8. $8 was the high close from back here in June, and so if it can turn that level into support, it could keep pushing higher. Now notice the descending resistance lines. You have one here at 75, and then you have the other one way down here at 650, and so it'd be best if it stayed above 775. You don't, if it dropped below 775, then it could come back in here and test the top of this other descending resistance line. It definitely has to stay above the second one. You know, it just would be much better for the chart if it stayed above these two red lines. If they turn into support and this $8 horizontal resistance line, if it turned all three of those into support, it could work its way back up to $12, you know, and test the previous high from back in January. That if it dropped below, that would signal consolidation. So keep an eye on 8 and 775. Needs to stay above, or it could consolidate. Now if you look at the 15-minute chart here for Cronus Group, you can see here it has the same kind of pattern where it has the descending resistance. What you want is you want to see on a bounce, you want to see it come up and break the previous high close, and then that signals it wants to head higher. When they bounce and then they fail to get back up to that level, that's a red flag. Now they could push it higher. That could definitely happen, and so there's a lot of time left, and so you just have to keep following the charts. Right now it needs to break this 830 resistance zone, the closing price here at 1245, and then up here around 866, the closing price in the first candle of the day. If it fails to break those levels and then it drops below the, you know, basically the middle Bollinger Band lining up with $8, you know, you see it below the $8 level, that's going to signal downside risk. You want to see it stay above 8. The risk is that it comes down to the 50 simple moving average, and that's down here at 750. Once again, notice the climax spike at the beginning of the day. You have the big spike followed by the red candle. You know, this is the classic climax spike during a multi-day rally. You know, we'll just have to see if the bulls are going to push it higher, or if this really is going to be where it takes a little breather. Okay, thanks for viewing the video.